Texas A&M, Alabama. That kind of time.
Wilmart.
No, yeah, you don't want to do that. Oh, everybody, my back's to it. No.
In the district office?
We're just gonna have a nice little chat.
Anywhere, I need to talk to him about.
All right, I know.
Why you with the youth?
Oh, awesome.
You
Were you the one, were you the,
You know, you guys, y'all can sit close, but I did take my monthly shower.
I've been aggravating Mark on board.
We have a good view this way now.
You'll be blinded. All right. Yeah. Now, I've never heard of coffee on cake.
Are you considering that office to over here?
That ain't a problem. I'm George, we ain't even coffee.
So you have this
Office in Georgia.
No, it's not.
Okay.
That's
See where
one
Mark is.
funny Louisiana thing.
Lieutenant Colonel, thank you for coming to Victoria, Texas.
Who, me?
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, I'll go wherever they lower the standards. That's a good thing.
You can get everywhere in 10 minutes in this town, it's awesome.
I can do what?
You can get everywhere in 10 minutes. It's amazing.
It's a great town.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Good.
The Astros play tonight.
Jason, you know what you're
Oh,
going to
yeah,
do
so
tonight?
play too?
Grab one of the seats. That's fine.
I'm gonna lose a lot of people then, huh?
Up here, wherever you're at.
So it's game one against the Yankees?
When I left the house a while ago, it was Oklahoma 7, University of Texas 0.
It's, you know, that's gonna be the test, whether or not Texas can stop that OU offense, because, I mean, Jalen Hurts is phenomenal. You know,
I just got to watch a couple games there in Oklahoma. Just
went right down the field.
March right down the field there, no problem. They don't have trouble shutting them down.
Oh, they're playing right now. My school sucks.
Are you missing much?
No, I'm not missing much.
Is it Bama Redskins fan?
Oh, so you know the pain. Yeah, I went to the University of Tennessee, and I mean, back in the day, we used to rule the roost in the SEC.
The other UT.
The UT. No, it's the UT. There wouldn't be the UT over here if it had been for the UT over there.
And y'all still are colors.
How can we steal your color when we was founded in 1793?
1824, nobody remembers back then.
Yeah, I lived in the place until 1836. Yes.
Okay, founded in 1824.
Founded by the Mexicans.
The Texicans.
Yeah. And then you finally gave Texas in 1836.
You all agree to that news there.
Yeah, I like that. You know, I don't think that. Oh, no, you? Oh, okay. I remember, when I was here, we went to an OU football game. The most, I mean, I thought Bama fans were bad. OU fans are bad. They're absolutely bad. Good. I'm Al.
Hello there.
Good, good. I'm Al. Oh my, thanks for coming out.
This is actually our district attorney.
Oh, of course. I was there long enough to do anything.
Yes, and so we're always pleased to have her. We're so glad to have you. Delighted to meet you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Jason, I don't know, it didn't come up, but.
You got your
Yes,
chair?
and this is actually, Alan, this is my husband, Jason Howell. 23 years in this.
Chase.
But
She told me the story.
Which one?
No, about the hearings.
Yeah, the last time I drove that was on a, went on the dealership.
Yeah, I know.
Couldn't get her out of there.
She didn't speak to you for like 2 weeks now. She won't get it back to you. That's right. That's what I'm saying. So when did you have your midlife crisis?
I told her, I said, I'm doing the fair, I had a sports car. So I'm on the fair.
Okay, when I can get some contracts to people that she's.
Oh, she's got it. Vanessa, there she is.
Okay, awesome, yes, as soon as she's done, I'll kind of say something.
And am I being live streamed while I eat? I mean, that's like really.
It's not live stream. It'll be edited. Don't worry. If you don't improve it, we'll just cut it. Don't
That way it's proper soul. Yeah, big.
We have honey mustard, cheese, Thousand Island ranch.
I tell you,
I like the other pictures.
I read the newspaper all the time. And I was on this. The days and nights that I have to talk about are gone. I didn't realize there was that much going on.
Well, you know, it's unfortunate.
Well, she was like,
Yes, I want to agree.
I don't know, it just seemed like there was a tremendous amount of work.
And I just get my conceit. He told me about you. And then I get my conceit.
Oh, yeah.
No. It was Mr. Terry. Something I probably shouldn't be eating. It was, I'm juggling one American night with my well, you know what, eat half of it, take the rest home. And I don't eat here very often. Okay, so when I'm here, I'm not enjoying it.
Keep that up.
Exactly. It is good. I'm gonna get the, catfish fillet. But I'm
I know.
I'll get a big one. Since I'm there a lot. So I'm waiting for since I'm
That's just, yeah, take a look. Okay, there you go. We got this. I'll have the team on I have a catfish fillet. Extra crispy. And catfish is protein.
Meat three. We just get meat three sides. We have one in town. Well, it's family table. And you get all your meat, so you can get a meat seven.
So when I was growing up, there was O'Boy's. That was big You should start. It's a wonderful state. Georgia has the most barrier islands of all the states.
At least half a dozen friends that are rangers are there here today. That's where they try and set their wives and living there.
To be there. First time I ever met him. Everybody got their order in? Sir? Everybody good? Everybody scored away? Cool? All right. Well, hey, look, I'm down here for the event tonight, and Vanessa just wanted to pull some folks together and just sit and have a little informal chat, and I think that's the best thing to do. I think everyone knows that I'm out there running for the chairmanship of the Republican Party of Texas. And, this is just asking what are your questions? What do you want to know about me? What do you want to know about how I see what's going on in Texas? That's the reason why last October, I wrote this book, because you can see the trends. You can see exactly what's happening. And for whatever reason, I don't understand why anyone would want to leave a failing state to come to a successful state, still vote like they're in a failing state. This past week, came to find out, California, which has the highest state income tax in the nation, also has the highest poverty rate in the nation. So 13% personal state income tax, 20% poverty. You look at their homeless situation, guess what? You go downtown Austin, it looks just like San Francisco. So the fight for America, as I tell people, is not on Capitol Hill. It is right here in the state of Texas. If you lose Texas, you lose the United States of America. 38 electoral votes right here. And what the left is doing, they are going in, they're taking the judgeships. We lost 56 judgeships in the 2018 cycle. And as long as they have the judgeships, they'll do things by judicial activism, which means even if you are successful in holding on to your state legislature, which we lost 12 state house seats last cycle, and we got a very thin margin in the state senate. If the left in the state of Texas gets hold of redistricting, forget about it, okay? Texas is going to pick up 2 to 3 more congressional districts, so that'll take us up to 40, 41, electoral votes. If those are the guys in charge of them, guess where they're going to go? And furthermore, if they're in charge of redistricting, or they have all these judges that will give the yay or nay on the redistricting, because you know it has to go through the courts. It's over. It really is, because they will change all the existing districts. They'll challenge every map that is out there. That's one of the things that happened in the state of Florida. That's one of the, the reasons why I was redistricted out, because the Democrats had enough stronghold in the judicial side, and they said, we're going to challenge whatever redistricting plan that you come up, unless, but that's okay. I'm happy to be here. So that's the challenge that I see we face in Texas. Not too far away from here is Houston. There's a reason why they had their presidential debate in Houston, because every single elected Republican within the city limits of Houston was defeated in 2018. And Bunny and I live up there in Dallas County. We see what's happening there. You know what's happening in El Paso. You know what's happening in San Antonio. So this is the fight. It's so important that we look at these rural areas that we have, such as Victoria County. We got to have all in out here. We cannot afford to lose any of the positions that we have. And Vanessa was telling me, you're already starting to see some of the progressive socialist leftist ideas coming even to Victoria, Texas. So we've got to push back away from that. But we've got to go into those key precincts and these major urban population centers. And we've got to start taking our message, because we can't lose there. That is the blueprint of the left. Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, they come into blue states, they take over major population centers, and then you don't have enough population to be able to regenerate it out in the rural areas. And it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of numbers. And so that's why I would like to be your chairman for your Republican Party, because we got to go on offense. You don't run on defense. Anybody who's been in the military tell you don't run on defense. And we've been on our heels for far too long. So that's my little spiel. So what are your questions?
Just, I know that probably in April or May this year, I read an article where former President Barack Obama had put Eric Holder in charge.
Eric Holder's in charge of redistricting out in California. And if you recall, Hillary Clinton came here to speak at the Houston Harris County Democratic, whatever they call it, dinner. And she said, we're going to turn Texas legislature blue. Because that's the road. And so, yes, Eric Holder's sitting out there looking at how they can, selectively target key state legislatures to flip them for the redistricting. These guys think long haul. And unfortunately, we have not had a lot of good strategic thinking on our side. When you look at our schools, look at what's going on in our middle schools, our high schools, definitely colleges and universities. They've been planning this for quite some time. I mean, you can't even go on the University of Texas as a conservative now. I mean, Ben Shapiro got shaken down for, maybe going to Baylor University. That's supposed to be a Baptist, institution. And they're shaking him down for going there. So we've got to get back on these college campuses and universities. That is so important. But yeah, they're sitting back and somewhere in a dark room. They've got the butcher paper up on the maps, how we used to have in the military, going through that military decision-making process, and they're targeting us. They're targeting us. And we got to think strategically, too. We got to stop playing checkers and start playing chess.
Alan, I have a question. I actually read your book, Hold Texas, Hold the Nation, Victory or Death. It's an excellent book for those of you that may not have gotten it yet. And so my question really, I want to take it back to border security. If we are unsuccessful in making sure that our border is secure, and as it relates to the influx of people that have a liberal, social, globalist ideology, when you add that to what's going on with our border, what kind of scenario should we really be preparing for?
It's
The worst case.
No, it is the worst case perspective, because you won't have a constitutional republic. You'll just have a one-party rule. It was very interesting that when President Trump said, why don't we just take all the illegals and put them in the sanctuary states, the sanctuary cities? And the left went crazy. Why? Because they don't want them where they could have power. They want them here. So when you hear people that are running to be president of the United States of America, and they're saying that they're for open borders, they're saying that they are, want to get rid of criminalizing crossing into the country legally, then why are you running to be president of something that you don't believe should exist? If you don't believe that we have a sovereign right as a nation, then what do you want to be president of? Really what you want to be is the landlord of a piece of terrain between Canada and Mexico. And so if they continue down this path, in California and certain places up north, they are already allowing illegal immigrants to vote in local elections. So if illegal immigrants can vote in local elections, well, first of all, back off. They're allowing them to have driver's licenses. So if you get a driver's license, what is that? That's a picture ID. And thanks to Bill Clinton, you have a motor voter law. Someone could actually be registered to vote when they're going in to get a driver's license. So next thing you know, that's what's going to start happening. And that will happen here in the state of Texas. And so we can't allow that. Either you abide by the rule of law or we don't. Either we're a constitutional republic or we're not. Either we're the sovereign nation and we have laws that have to be obeyed and adhered to, or we don't. And so that's the key. And too often we allow people to put us back in our heels talking about we should be compassionate. Yeah, absolutely right. And I love it when the other side tries to go in and quote scripture. You know, if you saw recently, you had the pastor that was out speaking at the Democrat quarterly meeting in San Francisco, trying to tell us that Jesus was a socialist and everything like that. But they never tell you about, you know, Jesus also said when they tried to trick him and challenge them with the coin, and they asked him about taxes, and what did he say? He said, "When they're under Caesar, what is Caesar?" If you go into the New Testament, you see where Paul was talking about, you know, being subject to the government. Guess who was the emperor of Rome when Paul was saying those things? It was daggone Nero. Nero was crazy. Nero was executing the Christians, but yet Paul said, you know, there are laws, and we have to be subject to the laws of the government, but that does not mean that you lose your faith. And so that is what we have to realize, is that don't let people put you on your heels and say you say you're a Christian, but you're not compassionate because you're not letting people come into the country and do whatever. Then ask them, would you allow someone to just walk into your house? They're going to say no. Okay. But as a Christian, you know, we serve our risen Savior, but we are respected to the laws of our nation, unless the laws are contrary to our Christian faith. Think about what Bob Frank, that's what I'm called by that funny Hispanic nickname he gave himself. But Bob Frank just came out and said that if you are a church that does not believe in same-sex marriage, you should have your tax-exempt status taken from you. Now think about that. The reason why Thomas Jefferson wrote that little thing about, you know, separation of church and state, it has nothing to do about, you know, you can't go out and profess your faith in the public sphere. What Thomas Jefferson was talking about, he did not want the head of state to also be a head of church, right? Because he did not want government to persecute people for their religious convictions or beliefs. Right? That's what he wrote in that letter to the Danbury Baptist Convention of Connecticut. It's not in the Constitution, it's not in the Declaration of Independence, but they're always the first ones to claim separation of church and state. So what they're doing is they're separating out our Judeo-Christian faith heritage from who we are, because they are simply humans. And they believe that your rights only come from being in agreement with their ideological agenda. If your rights don't coincide with their ideological agenda, then you don't have that right. Second Amendment, you don't have that right. Freedom of religion, you don't have that right. Freedom of speech, only if it's accepted speech. Freedom of expression, only if you're expressing what we allow you to have. Your right to petition your government for redress of grievances, nah, we're the only ones who go out and protest. You guys go out and protest, you're extremists. That's where we are in this country. This is tyrannical rule. This is ideological domination. The fact that we have a group of people that believe they can do that here in the state of Texas, to me that's unacceptable.
Amen.
What you just said is going to terrorize a lot of people that have labeled Republican in the state of Texas. Not understanding that it is your desire to become the chair for the Republican state UP. But the question is, what can we, at our local levels, do to assist you to achieve that goal?
Well, the website is west4texas.com. The most important thing is become a delegate to the convention, which will happen 11 through 16 May over in Houston. And just spread the word. Look, I always tell folks, I was born and raised in Georgia, went to University of Tennessee. You know, I got a little country boy in me. I don't have no high-speed Dodge Challenger. I got a truck and I got a Jeep. But I always tell folks, the only thing in the middle of the road is roadkill. If you look at the Bible, it says you're hot or cold. If you lukewarm, I spew you from my mouth. It's time for this party to stand up and be the party that they say that they are.
Amen.
Because too often when they get into elected positions, then they cower away. You know, you never hear the word bipartisan until Democrats are not in the majority. Then all of a sudden you hear about bipartisanship. And our guys always acquiesce, appease, and compromise. Let me give you a scenario. If you are a Republican and you are a member of the California State Assembly or the California State Senate, what chance do you have as a Republican in California in their legislature of passing any legislative priorities? Zero. So why is it that out of the 5 legislative priorities of the Republican Party of Texas, none of them passed? Here in Texas. But yet there are Democratic legislative priorities that did pass. And so, you know, traveling around, look, last Sunday I was in Wimberley, in Amarillo, in the Canyon, I was in Fort Worth last night, I'm here with you guys. People are asking themselves, why should I go out and knock on doors? Why am I even saying that I'm a Republican? Why am I electing these people that go and then they turn their backs on us? So we got to re-energize, we got to reinvigorate, we got to revitalize ourselves first and foremost. We got to hold people accountable. We really do, because there's something bigger than just having a title. This is stake here. And so I've never been in politics in my life. I came back from Afghanistan, ran for, you know, congressional office, and, you know, God bless, I was successful. I was redistricted out by Republicans. I was the #1 target for the Democrats in 2012 after Mitt Romney. You can go back and look at it. My congressional re-election race is the 2nd most expensive political race in the United States history. That's how bad everyone in Washington, D.C. wanted to see me go. And guess what? Obviously, if I'm pissing off both sides, I was maintaining the oath that you and I took.
That's right.
That's the most important thing, right? We got to honor the oath that we took, right? So it is not about an oath to a political party or an individual. It's to the people and to the Constitution, which embodies the people. And the Republican Party of Texas has incredible history. The Republican Party of Texas was founded on July the 4th of 1867, about 150 blacks, right over there in Houston. If I'm fortunate to become, you know, the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, I will not be the first black chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. The first one was a guy by the name of Norris Racooney from 1884 to 1898, a successful black businessman. But when I travel around, there are Republicans that don't know that. So then the other side calls you a racist, and then you go back on your heels. Instead of responding and saying, you know what? Blacks founded our party in Texas in 1867. You're part of a party that was founded in the Ku Klux Klan. Now, who are the real racists? But that's what I mean. You got to know yourself. You got to know your history. And then you can go on offense, not be on defense. And somehow we got to embolden people in Austin or in our local governments or up in Washington, D.C. Put on the big boy pants. Yeah? That's it. You're in the middle of the road, you're roadkill. So stand for something or else you'll fall for anything. That's what my mom taught me. And I'll be very honest. We can disagree with, you know, some of the tactics of President Trump. I know a lot of ladies, President Trump reminds you of that obnoxious boyfriend that you had in high school. Or if you remember Vinnie Barbarino from Rumbleback Connor, you know, that kind of guy. But you know something? He fights back. And they are not used to ever seeing a Republican that throws a punch back at them. And they are absolutely dog fighting mad, and he has made them just apple pluck. And that's a good thing. Okay. So that's what we gotta do. Remember, those of us that have been in combat, I told my soldiers in my battalion, every day you wake up, you got two choices. You either get to fight or you get to die. So that's what we got to do. And we got to encourage our elected officials to fight back. Nancy Pelosi comes into the great state of Texas 3 weekends ago and said, we're going to turn Texas blue and it's going to be wholesome for the United States of America. You didn't hear a peep from any of the leadership in the Republican Party of Texas. Not a peep. Alexander Ocasio-Cortez comes to Austin, Texas, from South by Southwest, and says we need to get rid of the oil and natural gas industry. Basically, gut the economy of the state of Texas. And then there are peak from anybody on our side. Those folks should be absolutely terrified to come into Texas and say that kind of foolishness. Nancy Pelosi goes down to the border and says there's no crisis here. You ain't hear a peep from many of our elected leaders here in Texas. I'm not that kind of guy. Okay? I'm going to fire back. Okay? I just say.
I agree with you 100%. I think we lose a lot of voters that, like you said earlier, people that say, I'm not going to go vote because they don't do anything. And, I'm not scared of stepping on toes. We have some of them like Dan Patrick in Austin. He needs to go. He's too mealy-mouthed. I ain't
gonna call names.
I call names. We need to put our foot down and say, look, this is what we believe in, and if you don't like it, well, bye, go somewhere else.
No one should be talking about red flag protection orders in the state of Texas. Sure. Right? Yes, sir.
I want to go back to your comments about becoming the state chair, and I am reminded of an Old Testament passage from Samuel when Samuel was sent to the home of Jesse and Bethlehem to want a new king. And Samuel thinks that the new king is going to be Jesse's oldest son because he's the nicest looking one, and the big boy. And God says, nope, don't look on the outward appearance, look at the heart. I think we as voters, we as conservatives, we as concerned citizens should be looking at the heart of the people we're electing. Someone who doesn't do that is doing a disservice to all those who made it possible for them to be able to vote. So my message to everybody going forward is look into the heart. Don't look at the label on them. They may call themselves Republican, but they're not Republican. We had a situation over in Wharton County where two of the former chairs of the Democratic Party, who were about just on this side of Karl Marx as far as being liberal, and they come in and they join the Republican Party so they can run for office. In conversing with them, they just said that that they had an enlightenment. They hadn't had an enlightenment anyway. It was all about politics, trying to put a label on themselves as Republicans, taking advantage of the situation. And I would say, moving forward, we can't afford to do that. We need to look at these people and what they're really all about and where they're going, where they're going to take us.
Well, that's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And we have got to start seeking out statesmen. Okay. People, the difference between a politician and a statesman is that a politician is always going to tell you what they think you want to hear. They're going to run polls and everything like that, come up with the messaging point. But a leader, a statesman, is going to tell you what you need to hear. And too often, and it talks about this in the Bible also, too often, people want to get their ears tickled. And they want to hear things that, make them feel good or whatever. It's time for us to start having those hard, tough discussions and facing some hard, tough truths. If we don't, then we run the risk of maybe being the first generation of Texans and Americans don't leave something better to subsequent generations than what's left for us. That's the real thing. Yes, buddy.
Sarah, you know how much I love you.
That's all, but.
No. I'm working in candidate recruitment with Chairman Dickey in North Texas right now. Just wanting to know, just if, when you take office, if you get elected in May, is there any changes to the plan that the RPT is doing right now that you would change? What would be your direction? And then the second question is, how do you practically plan on holding the elected officials that we know need to be held accountable to our platform to that standard? That's my two questions.
You know, each and every time I took command of the unit of the United States Army, we had this phrase, all policies and procedures stay in place until further notice. No one comes in and you just trash everything. And you look and see what needs to be sustained, you look and see what needs to be improved. One of the things I think that we have to do a better job of, we don't have a farm team in the Republican Party. Okay? That's just like in baseball. Baseball, you have single A, double A, triple A, and all the way up. We're not starting off at that level, which is most important. I think city council, school boards.
Yep.
And so the left comes in, and that's exactly what they take over, city council and school boards. So when you have 6 people that decide that they're going to step down from the United States Congress, we shouldn't freak out. We shouldn't panic. You know, in baseball, you know, the manager will go over to the telephone, and he'll pick up the phone and call, or he'll look out and he'll tap his arm and send in the lefty, send in the right, send in the strongest one I got in the bullpen. We don't have folks that we are training up in the bullpen. We don't have people down at those lower levels where we can say, hey, we got a superstar, young man, young lady down here at the double A level. We're going to bring them up. We got a DA right there. We're looking at this DA to maybe be the attorney general one day. Who are we looking at? Who are we looking at to be the next Supreme Court justices here in the state of Texas? So that's the strategic thing we should be looking at. You know, it's not about, I've instituted a program. Everyone can institute, anyone can institute a program, but it's what is your vision 10, 15 years down the road? That's the important thing that I want to see. Right. So, no, you don't come in and you start to upset an apple cart. But you got to see, you got to objectively look at what is sustained and what should be improved. And I will tell you right now, I think the most important thing, we haven't even been in this 2 months yet. Next week will be 2 months. But you got to start seeing yourself as a chairman. You got to get around the state, and you got to start looking at candidates and talking to candidates. And you got to start inspiring people to come out there. Now, how do I hold people accountable? I can be a very resolute, forthright kind of guy. And I think that when you say to me, here are our priorities, and I sit down with the key leadership, then I'll also say, here are the priorities for the people of the Republican Party of Texas. This is what they want. That's more than 3 of them. That's Common Core. That's Common Core math. but I think that's what you have to do. You cannot allow them to look at you and say, sit over here in the corner, this is what we're going to tell you to do.
So you wouldn't just be the PR?
I'm not anybody's errand boy, okay? All right?
That's all.
I'm not.
Alan, if I may, I just want to brag a little bit about Victoria County. Victoria County in the last midterm election was a solid 70% red vote. And so you have people, even in this room, that have knocked doors, made phone calls, sat in with prayer warrior sessions. We have the president of Young Republicans here. My husband here helps with all of that. And so you're in good company. And so one of the things my husband and I did yesterday, and one of the things I want to encourage the group based on something you said that I found motivational, was that we've got to get even more engaged and kind of fired up. So we're deputized. We went over and took the little test to be able to register people to vote. That is going to be key and critical. And what I learned is that any county location, you can actually go set up a little table as long as you've been deputized, and you can start registering people to vote.
You become a voter registrar.
Exactly, a voter registrar. And it took us, 30 minutes or so? They're very nice down there. And so one of the things that we can do is really get engaged by becoming deputized and helping register people to vote. And guess what? If you show up at a county location and register people to vote, they cannot kick you out of there. It is your right to do that. And so, like Alvin says, I mean, the stakes can be real high. And one of the things we're gonna have to do is make sure people are registered to vote. So I just want to encourage you guys to keep doing what you're doing, but then taking it up a notch, motivating your family and your friends to get out there and really get with it. And it's the basics, it's the fundamentals. We have to have people registered to vote. One of the things the Democrats do better than we do is get people registered to vote. They camp out right outside of high school, when they graduate from high school. They're right there to help people, you know, learn about voting and get registered to vote. So that's one of the things I want to, you know, kind of respond to what you were saying and say we are on our way, but obviously we can do more. Also, I wanted to give him a chance to take a few points. So.
In the state of Texas, you got 6.7 million people that are registered to vote, but ain't voting. That's the first thing we got to figure out. And drill it down by precinct. And the second thing is, Vanessa said, you've got 4.1 or so million that are not even registered. We got to figure that number out. But I want you to think about this. Even if you got 100% of every Republican in Victoria County to come out and vote, what is the equivalent to that in the city of Houston? That's how we have to start really thinking about this in very precise numbers. So, am I saying that we win back all of the major populations? No. But what we have to be able to do is the political calculus of understanding all of these places where we're strong. What is the best case scenario percentage that they can come out, turn out with Republicans? And, you know, what independents can we get? Can we pick off some Democrats there? But then, what do we need to look at gaining in the major population centers? And that's where you really have to drill this down to that laser-guided munition focus. This is not about carpet bombing. This is about a precision-guided munition. You've got to put the red dot somewhere and figure it out before you pull the trigger. So that's our challenge.
Our message here on the cloud campaign has been we all have a responsibility to pull out more votes in every place that seems to be safe so that we counterbalance some of the votes in the urban areas. And so it really is a unified message that nobody's off the hook. We all have to work harder regardless of how safe you feel an area is for our cause. So anyway, thank you for your work, sir. Thank you for coming to communities like this.
No, this is important. Ask yourself, on average per day, how much time do you get to spend with your child or your grandchild as opposed to a teacher? And what are the political philosophies of those teachers that are getting 6, 7, 8 hours a day with your child or your grandchild? That's where we have to win. Because the next thing you know, those young people that are seniors in high school or freshmen in college, they're getting influenced, they're getting indoctrinated by something that is completely different, antithetical to what you have trained up your child to be. Remember it says Proverbs 22:6, train up a child the way they should go so that when they grow old, they shall not depart from it. If you don't continue to have that constant contact, that constant engagement with your son or daughter, your granddaughter, grandson, then we lose it. The Autonomous Student Network, how many people here have heard of the Autonomous Student Network? Autonomous Student Network, here in Texas, sent out a notice to all incoming freshmen at the University of Texas that join Young Conservatives of Texas or Turning Point USA, that they were out there. They would put their information out in public, you know, if they were working somewhere, whatever, they were out there. That's what we're facing. See, they know how important that young freshman coming onto a college campus is, university campus is. So what they're doing is they're targeting them and they're intimidating them. Now, I thought that everyone was against bullying. We were allowed it to happen. And yet, no one has prosecuted this group. I think that's, I mean, when you are publicly issuing a threat to people because of their political beliefs and philosophy, you tell them they can't join a certain group. I don't know, Ms. DA, I think that's kind of like against the rules. Yeah. I can answer questions and need at the same time.
Yeah, I want to touch in on what Vanessa was saying. You know, we do have a 70% conservative turnout in our elections. At the same time, we also have some of the lowest turnouts in the state for our elections. Those two
Especially
numbers,
for school board.
yeah. But those two numbers compete with each other at the state level. In the past, they've looked at us and not given us funds at the level of other communities because we have such a high conservative turnout, no turnout percentage. We have an extremely low turnout. There's a huge market to increase votes in Victoria, and it's never been addressed at the state level, to my understanding. So how is that something you would look at, and how do you feel about the auxiliary groups? Right now, we're kind of a mess.
A good leader always looks at main efforts and supporting efforts. And main efforts have to get priority resources. If everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. So you got to figure that out. And so you got to look at where you can be the strongest and where you can complement that strength. You got to reinforce success. And so that's what that principle is what I would take into becoming the chair. And you said the other thing about auxiliary groups.
Yeah.
I mean, like the young Republicans and others.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
It's not been a very good year for the auxiliary groups.
well, that's important. I think one of the key things we have on the county chairman is we got to strengthen our county chairmen. We got to empower them. But those groups like young Republicans, minority conservatives, Latino conservatives, I think we got to talk to them. There's no reason why, I'll be honest, any black or Hispanic should align themselves with the Democrat Socialist Party. But if they don't hear from us, then they do. I mean, the Hispanic and the black communities believe in faith, family, individual responsibility, quality education, small business entrepreneurship, and service to the country. Those aren't leftist ideals. Those are ours. So that they don't hear those ideas. Just the same as the young people. Young people are always talking about, mommy, daddy, you don't know what you're talking about. I want to be, what's that song, Keep It To Yourself, It's My Life, But then why do they align themselves with control freaks? People that tell them, you can't go out and do this and do that, we can give it to you for free. But we don't put it in those simple terms. So yes, we have to also give messaging and empowerment to those, critical auxiliary groups that focus on key demographics. Definitely. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet you. You are?
No, Scott.
Scott Allen.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. You're a hero of mine, by the way.
I'm not you. I'm sitting here eating catfish.
More catfish.
Right.
Yeah. A couple of questions. First of all, you were going back to the state side. Does it come down to like key 6 different seats? I know Congressman Cloud's kind of talking to me about that, kind of what you shared. Just that, if these key races don't go our way, then they'll redistrict and then it's over. There's a lot of different scenarios. But have y'all already pinpointed which races those are and already kind of looked at what?
Well, I would tell you, I would like to win back, the 12 state house seats that we lost in 2018.
Amen.
I mean, that's where you start.
Yeah.
We're recruiting candidates.
Yeah, that's where you start. Now, I'd like to win back the state senate districts that we lost in 2018. That won't be until next 2022. But that's the first thing you do. You go back and regain ground that you lost. You sustain the ground that you have where you're strong. So that's my philosophy of doing this thing. I got to reverse their successes. Nothing is possible.
Yeah. Well, part of
And
that.
the Wilbur district, that's key. The district that we lost in Houston, that's key. The congressional district that we lost up in Dallas, that's key. And Mr. Marchand, which is very narrow, I think, 2.5% he wants.
They're considering it a toss-up right now.
Yeah. So I think that we ought to be able to win that. But the key battleground for us in the state of Texas is the major population center. Some point in time, we got to defeat the left, or at least put them on defense where they think they're the strongest. And when you look at the left's philosophy, they control all these major urban centers, and you see the biggest amount of failure. Destruction of the family, crime, gang violence, all of these things, lack of good quality education. We should be on the offense against them in those places. And then, like I say, here and Victoria, whatever, holding what we have and strengthening what we have.
That's what I still don't understand. Of course, none of us, it doesn't make sense. Like you said, even for, tens of thousands of Californians.
If you don't tell them, they don't know.
Okay, that's where a lot of times I get, well, they don't care about statistics. But the statistics are so strong and so there and so one-sided to prove. I mean, when you have Trump kind of calling out Baltimore and saying, look, that's a
Well, you know what the problem was?
Yep.
Who followed up on that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nobody followed up on
Yeah,
it.
it makes no sense.
So you come out and you say something, it survives a 72-hour news cycle. The news cycle is fluid. And then nobody ever talks about it anymore. We're not following those things.
That's why if you can prove the case so easily statistically, how those are such failed, horrible
But
policies.
people got to hear it every
Right,
day.
right,
People
right.
got to see it every day.
Yeah.
Okay? We somehow, when Toyota North America moves from California to North Texas, up there in the Dallas area, Plano, if we're not going in and talking to all of those new employees, we need to find out who the new employees are. And we can use a thing called geofencing. We should be sending text messages to them. We should say, this is why Toyota North America moved to Texas from California. Now, how are you going to vote? Like you still in the place where that you left, or the new place that gave you growth, opportunity, and prosperity? We're not doing that. So it has to be every single day that you're challenged in. There's an article that was written in The Economist in August of this year. And it's called Texifornia. Go back and read that article. Because the writer of that article says the future of the United States of America comes down to two states. Either America will follow the path of California, or America will follow the path of Texas. So how is it that we have people that are leaving the path of California and coming to Texas, but they're still walking the path of California? Because we're not bringing it out every single day. Texas is a victim of its own success. Governor Perry, Governor Abbott go out to all of these failed states and say, move your business and corporation to Texas. But we never took the time, and we never take the time to continuously and constantly and incessantly explain to them, this is why you moved here. This is why you came. And until we do that, they're going to say, you know what, this is a nice place, but boy, it should be nice if, there's more Democrats here. And they laugh. But the county judge of Collin County, dear friend of mine, retired Army Colonel Keith Selman, he said that's what a woman said to him at a meeting up in Plano. How much she loved it, how much she was glad she was here, but she wished that there were more Democrats. That's the delusion that is out there, because we're not effectively messaging every single day. Right. And that comes back to our elected officials. Need to be saying that and messaging that every single day.
Alan, just real quick, if I may.
I
Go ahead.
wanted to get back to educating the younger people. In the state of Texas, every year, the American Legion sends approximately 14 to 1,500 boys to Austin, the boys state, and probably pretty close to the same amount of girls go to Seguin for a girls' state. When that's their junior year, when they finish their junior year in high school. When they come back, the whole thing about boys' state is learning how politics work, city, county, and state, and they're hot on politics, and when they come back, Nobody is contacting them. Vanessa and I have talked about this, and we're trying to get a program started here in Victoria, that we can get those boys and girls and start, bring them into the Republican Party, because these are kids, 4.0 students, good grades. We interview them, make sure they don't mind praying, doing the Pledge of Allegiance. So there's something we can take and mold our future leaders.
And you're not motivated, you're building a farm team.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that they come back from Girl State, Boy State, and they go back into a school system that doesn't teach civics, doesn't teach history. So all of that immersion that you have done in Girls and Boy State is lost. You know what I said? Constant, continuous, following up. And so what I would say is that you need to start looking at how you can have after-school civics programs. Or at least, after-school issue and debate programs. Just bring them in for, an hour after school or over the weekend, just an hour. And start talking about, okay, what were the issues of this week? And let's talk about the issues of this week, because they get that from the teacher, okay? And that's how you make sure that those 8 hours that that teacher or that professor has with that child that takes them in a different direction, you can defray them. But you just got to find that time. And it's got to be quality that can defeat that quantity today. So follow up on the Girl State and Boy State, because what, it's 2-3 weeks?
They go up there for a week off.
Okay, so 1 week.
Right.
How many weeks does that teacher have before out of the year? See, that's the thing. So I would say that what we need to look at doing is how the American region and how local communities can then expand upon that and welcome those kids back in, because that Boy State, that's an introduction. Girl State, that's an introduction. Now you got to continue to build. How many of y'all have ever seen a building that got started and never finished? You see it on the side of the road, you're like, what happened to that? Well, that's what you do if you don't follow up after that 1 week of Boys and Girls State. You got a building that you never finished. You may have laid a foundation, maybe put up a couple of, steel beams, but ain't nothing else there.
And Will's absolutely right, Alan. One of the things that we brainstormed on was inviting all those kids from our area that went to Girl State and Boy State to a Republican Party meeting and giving them a certificate of recognition, letting them know that we really appreciate that accomplishment.
Instead of a participation trophy, there are better ways to reinforce something. So I want to ask you,
Just
how many young people will be here tonight?
I'm not sure.
I'll
I'll defer to
your daughter there, if that's.
Well, excellent. I'll defer to the young Republicans. You have a number?
We have a few coming, but we're getting older.
We're aging out. Remember that movie Logan's Run when the little light in your hand started to beat? Then they hunted you down and killed you? No, look. But again, when we have these events, we gotta have them. We gotta have the cars, teenage cars. We gotta have our next generation there. And you gotta give them some responsibility. Let them do the pledge. Let them sing the national anthem. Make them a part of it, okay? Because if not, what are they going to be doing right now? They're going to be sitting back at home and texting, playing Call of Duty or something. Instead of understanding how important it is to be an active participant in their community. You've got to teach them how to be a citizen. They're not being taught how to be a citizen in school. They're being taught how to be a subject. Okay? This testing thing, which is just, creating robots, we're not creating critical thinkers. Okay.
I'd like to jump in on an auxiliary group that's had some success locally. I'm a 25-year member of the local Victoria County Republican Women. And I'm looking for a leader who can unite that untapped resource at the state level. We have some fractures that I saw on display at the last state convention. And really looking for somebody that can work and replicate some successful things that are going on with that group. I was a graduate of a candidate development program that they put on about 5 years ago. And of the group that completed that, 3/4 of us were successful in local races in our hometowns, and that's what we have to do. You're talking about farm team, here, that is definitely something.
I had a great time with the Federated Republican Women last week over there. I mean, and they are, many times, they're the warriors.
Absolutely.
They're
We have
warriors.
exceeded some record membership levels locally. People are ready and they're looking for an opportunity. We're ready to work.
All right. Yes, sir.
Another question, just real quick. I just wanted to commend you too when you go out to college campuses. I've watched numerous videos.
It's fun.
Especially when I still remember that black young lady just saying, like, "Are you black?" or something. Do you remember that? Or
Yeah, that was Northwestern University.
Yeah.
And the young lady asked me, do I identify as black? And you saw my face.
You said last I checked.
Yeah, last I checked.
But anyway, Candace Owens too, I'm quite a fan, but I just wanted to get your perspective on that because of all basically Trump's been so good to the black community, to the Hispanic community, and of course everything gets railroaded in the media, but do you see, like Candace saying, I just really believe there's going to be a black exodus from the Democratic Party because of, again, statistics. I mean, I know everybody kind of has their way of seeing things, but you can't deny the truth on a lot of ways.
Look, they're very nervous about it because all we need in the black community is 15%, 20%. And you put 2 torpedoes in this ship. Hispanic community, if you get between 45 to 55%, you just sunk their battleship. But we got to reinforce that message. We have to continue to talk about that message. We have to continue to talk about the history of the Republican Party. Not just in Texas, but overall.
Yeah.
And that's what we fail to do. And so no person should look at a Republican and say you're a racist. I mean, the immediate retort is, 13, 14, 15 amendments, the first black members on Capitol Hill, they weren't Democrats, they were Republicans. We just got to go down the line and retort that. So, but again, that means that you have to have elected leadership that is out there responding that way instead of being back on their heels and apologizing all the time. So yeah, somehow the opportunity zones, most people in the minority have no opportunity zones. They should. Who founded Planned Parenthood? A white supremacist and a racist who spoke at Klan rallies.
They wanted to wipe out the black population.
They called people that look like Vanessa meat weeds and undesirables.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go through Houston on I-45 on the south side of Houston, where you see that big glass enclosed building that says at the top, Planned Parenthood, which 70 to 73% of Planned Parenthood clinics are located where?
Right in the middle of
The black
black
communities.
neighborhoods. Yeah.
Now we're saying it.
That makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. No. We make the mistake so often that people know what we know. They don't.
No. Right.
And if you're not out there saying it every day, then they're going to hear a different message. What's Juneteenth? What's Juneteenth? Everybody? What is Juneteenth?
The news of the Emancipation Proclamation.
Came to Texas.
The news of the Emancipation Proclamation came to Texas, Juneteenth. What did the Democrats do on Juneteenth of this year? See, this is what I'm talking about. The fact that you all sitting here today don't know what the Democrats were doing on Capitol Hill on Juneteenth. On Capitol Hill on Juneteenth, they were holding a hearing on slave reparations. Now, on the day of emancipation, they're still talking about people being victims, people being enslaved. And what an incredible opportunity for Republicans to stand up and say, this party was founded in 1854 to end slavery, which you were against. And now you're sitting up there talking about reparations, paying people for the thing that you started and you supported.
That's all it is.
But who was saying? Game, set, freaking match.
It's a backbone.
That's it. That comes back to what you were talking about. That's it. Where's our rapid response? Every time they do something stupid, we ought to be right there smacking.
You're right.
Yeah. Interrupted. We're not a disruptive, interruptive force. That's it. So,
Well, the battle lines are drawn. I mean, you've got Robert Francis O'Rourke going out there and telling churches if they don't support gay marriage, they're going to lose their 501(c)(3) status. It's over. It's game over. I mean,
Well, where are we sending a message to all these pastors all across the state of Texas saying,
we're about to do it.
well, you are, it should be you, it should be this organization that we have.
Yeah.
They should have immediately put out a press release that says, this is what America is not about. Government persecuting people for their religious beliefs.
Right.
We have a freedom of religion. And how many people know the Johnson Amendment? You know what the Johnson Amendment is, right?
That allows people in ministry to be able to utilize their First Amendment rights.
But it is punitive. The Johnson Amendment really talks about the punitive measure of you losing your tax exempt status if you become involved in political activity. Who is the Johnson Amendment named after? Lyndon Johnson. From right here, when he was a senator from Texas. The Great Society programs have really brought out the decimation of the traditional two-parent black family. Lyndon Johnson. How power do we have? If we just bring out these points, if we fight unified, and we get these things out there, keep that message going. Every single day, they should wake up and say, oh man, what are they going to hit us with now?
I think we could become more adept at the platform for the message development. The Democrats really are social media savvy, whereas we have some room to grow. And they're better at getting it word out.
Make no mistake, when you look at the Democrats, every single elected official, every single pundit, every single media outlet are all saying the same thing, same time. That does not happen by coincidence.
No.
Why aren't we doing it that way? Well, we have a much, much better message. It's not about getting censored. If everybody is saying the same thing all across, if everyone is writing the same thing in op-ed pieces, everyone is doing an interview, they can't censor everybody. They can't censor everybody. But if only onesies or twosies are doing it here or there, you're right. They can take Latinos from Trump and censor you. But as soon as people found out about it, we got to come to the rescue, elaborate it, illuminate it, and then they back off. See, as soon as we expose their darkness, we drive it away. That's what we have to do this.
Alan, I don't want to leave the discussion without touching on our Second Amendment rights. And I just want you to put in perspective, if you become the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, what are you going to do to help reassure voters and law-abiding citizens that we can feel secure with our Second Amendment rights?
I'm going to tell officials here, do not support red flag protection orders. And if you support red flag protection orders, chances are you've not been an elected official or public in Texas for very long. How many people have ever heard of the name Gary Willis? Okay. Gary Willis is a 61-year-old man. November of 2018, Gary Willis is in his home, and someone started banging on his door at 5:17 in the morning. What Gary Willis did not know was that someone had put out a red flag protection order against him. And understanding that Maryland was one of those states that instituted red flag protection orders after the Department of Florida shooting. At 5:17 in the morning, I know if someone's banging on my door, the first thing I'm going to get. And that's exactly what Gary Willis picked up. 61-year-old man goes to his front door. He opens the front door. It's dark. He raises his gun. He's shot dead by 2 police officers. To this day, no one knows who the 2 police officers are. No one's ever seen the red flag protection order. And no one knows who sent it out. Gary Willis, 61 years of age, law-abiding, innocent American of Ferndale, Maryland, is now dead. That's what happens. And we have a saying over in the Middle East. Anyone who's been deployed to the Middle East maybe you've heard this saying. You never let the camel get the nose under the tent. Because as soon as the camel gets the nose under the tent, the rest of the body will follow. It's just the same with the FISA courts. How is it in the United States of America we have this secret court, judges we don't know, that anyone can show up and you don't have the right to be able to defend yourself, which is a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights, if I'm correct. Same with red flag protection laws. It's a violation of your Second and your Fourth Amendment rights. In 2011, when Hugo Chavez came to power in Venezuela, he banned private gun ownership because he said he wanted to curtail gun violence. Exact same rhetoric we're hearing here. Instead of dealing with each one of these situations, which many of them is a mental health issue, with most of them, it's an issue of stovepiping of information in the National Criminal Background Check System. The Sutherland Springs shooting, the reason why that happened was because the United States Air Force did not input the criminal record of that guy into the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. The kid up in Allen, Texas, the mother, they called the police in Allen, Texas about her son. Okay. So we don't need to come out with these, we got to do something responses that end up undermining the constitutional rights of American citizens. Because I'm going to tell you, right, this leads to one thing. It leads to the disarmament of the American people, which means that next thing you know, you're not going to be a citizen, you're going to be a subject. So, and it happened on my watch. Okay? Bottom line. And I'm a board member of the National Rifle Association, and the Second Amendment is very important. Founding fathers understood this. Your First Amendment rights are what are called passive rights. The Second Amendment is an active right that protects your First Amendment rights. If you don't have a Second Amendment right, forget about the First. Which is why 30 years ago, a bunch of people were gunned down in Tiananmen Square. Which is why the history of every single socialist dictatorship the world has ever seen has always started with one thing: disarming the populace. Now, how many times have you heard a Republican stand up and just say that with conviction?
They won't.
Where is it?
They won't.
Scared they got to. That's all we want. Lack of contested court. That's all we want. All right, I've taken up enough of y'all's time. I've had 3 of my 4 pieces of catfish. I only asked for 3. I had to talk to them about who their math teacher was. But, okay, takeaways, because I always, you gotta have takeaways. Boys and girls stuff, we gotta follow it up. We gotta get our young people more involved. And the other thing is, we've got to have a centralized means by which we get a message out. Now, I will tell you this. As chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, every single week, I will push out a message. I will get all of us fighting on the same sheet of music. Because if we're out there fighting independently, we're not strong. Synchronized, operations.
And a unified message.
And a unified message, okay? Because we don't win any other way. And if that message is strong, we'll follow it up another week. But we're always going to be on the same sheet of music going into every single week. From, if I'm blessed, from May 15th, so as long as I hold that position.
You have that started now?
Say again?
You have that started now?
Well, I mean, if you want, you can go to, our website, the oldschoolpatriot.com, and, you can send out exactly what I write every day. Today's message centers around the fact, they had this equality town hall on CNN this past week, and Cory Booker was asked about the Pulse nightclub shooting, and we all know that who did the Pulse night, it was an Islamic terrorist. Cory Booker immediately started talking about right-wing extremists. Completely disavowed, dismissed who did the post-night club show. So what I got out, my message is that people need to understand, if it comes down to the left's ideological agenda, they will always deny the real culprit in anything. So instead of him talking about Islamic terrorism and jihadism, he started talking about right-wing extremism. So, complete disinformation campaign. So the thing that I said to the gay community, I said, he didn't address the issue. So he really didn't care. He just saw this as an opportunity to talk about his ideological agenda. That's what we have to start getting out. Okay? The left doesn't care about us. They only care about their agenda. Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Sir?
I'm glad I ran this morning.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank y'all, and we'll see you tonight. If I don't see you tonight, I'll see you some other time. TheOldSchoolPatriot.com.
Paul Barrett, what's that?
Man, I never had the Bible Friday.
Meet you, I'm Paul Barrett.
And I'm the writer at the Jackson County Patrol.
We are.
Let's reset.
So this is the rest of my day. Are you sure?